Hey guys, welcome to Reform Nerd. So today we have two weird ways that Mario reminds me of Jesus. The first weird way is that they both have similar jobs. And the second weird way is that they both are not your typical superhero. Now let's start with the first one. They both have similar jobs. Now most of you know Mario as a plumber, but you would be surprised to know that Mario, before he is a plumber, he's actually a carpenter. Now back in 1981, when Mario makes his first appearance in the Donkey Kong game, he's actually a carpenter. And he is a carpenter to fit the scene of the game, which is a construction site. Now it's not until 1983 when Mario Brothers comes into the picture, the game, that Mario then becomes a plumber. And again, it is to fit the scenario of the game. Now, how does this relate to Jesus? Well, you would be surprised to know that Jesus also was a carpenter. Now, we see that when Jesus goes back to his hometown, he is recognized as a carpenter. When we read Matthew 13, verse 55, this is what it says. Then they scoffed. He's just a carpenter's son, and we know Mary, his mother, and his brothers James, Joseph, Simon, and Judas. So Jesus is recognized as a carpenter, and this makes sense because Joseph, Jesus' stepdad, is also a carpenter by trade. So it would only make sense that he would teach what he knows to his son. Now, some scholars would know that the wood at that time was scarce, which means that Jesus probably worked more with stones than he actually did with wood. So that's the first weird way that Mario reminds me of Jesus, because they have similar jobs and they actually had the same job. Now, the second weird way that Mario reminds me of Jesus is that they are both not your typical superhero. Well, what do I mean by this? I mean, if you look at Mario, you're gonna notice that he's kind of fat, right? He doesn't fit the physique of your typical superhero. If we look at superheroes like Batman, Superman, Goku, all of these guys are super buff and they're super lean and in shape. But our boy Mario, I mean, he likes pasta, like that's his thing, right? And in the same way how these superheroes tend to fight with their fist, Mario doesn't necessarily do that now, does he? Instead, we find him jumping on all these little creatures, and that's the way that he fights. Now, Jesus, in that same way, he is not your typical superhero. Now, the reason I say this is that Jesus' appearance is not the appearance of a superhero. If you read Isaiah chapter 53, verse 2, this is what it says. There was nothing beautiful or majestic about his appearance, nothing to attract us to him, which means that Jesus was not this shampoo model that we're used to seeing in paintings, right? He wasn't this blue-eyed white guy with silky hair, right? In fact, the Bible tells us that Jesus was kind of average looking, right? The other thing that tells us that Jesus wasn't your typical superhero is that the Jews themselves did not recognize Jesus as the Messiah, or at least most of them didn't. Why? Well, they expected Jesus to be this military hero that would come into the picture and liberate them from the Roman Empire that was oppressing them. But instead, what Jesus does is that he does come and he does offer a way to liberation, but it's not from the military prowess of the Romans, but instead is through his sacrifice on the cross and offering salvation for all of those that would believe in him. So that's it, guys. These are the two weird ways that Mario reminds me of Jesus. I hope that you like this video. Please make sure to share, like, and subscribe so you don't miss another video. Guys, I have a shop. Check out the description so you can check out some of the stuff that I have. Also, there are other ways that you can also support this ministry, and I want to thank you in advance for that. If you're not done with this channel, here are a couple of suggestions for you. And as always, I just want to remind you that we must persevere.